Being vulnerable is such a powerful ability to do. Like, it's such an important skill. When I first joined Greenhouse, it's a US company, and typically in Ireland, in Europe, we're probably less open to be vulnerable. And the people leadership team will like slag me off because we'd get deep and I would only go surface level. And I remember the first time, and they'd laugh, they're like, Sarah isn't going to go deep here. But the first time I stood up, it was about change, about mindsets and growth mindset. And I shared a really personal story to, I think, like 70 people. And I was sweating. Like, I was so nervous. And John was like, you got this, but you got to do it. Yeah. And he pushed me, and he was right. It's like actually Brennan who talks about vulnerability. It's like, it's being courageous and afraid. You can be both. Probably that most days. How does that relate to imposter syndrome and everything else? But how do you actually flip that on your head and use it to your advantage? I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to grow if I don't actually make myself uncomfortable and be vulnerable to say that to people as well. But I totally relate with you. Like, as soon as you share with somebody, the barriers are broken and people can then suddenly they share, but also they feel like there's an environment to be yourself. It's true and authentic to yourself. You become so much more confident. You're going to be, from a business perspective, you're going to perform better because you're not going to be like hiding these practices or your identity. You're actually just going to be far more relaxed and therefore perform in an environment that is thriving, that like fosters a sense of creativity and people to be included. There's so much power in people being vulnerable, and some of it is about sharing, like, and I joke about when I first started, but some of it is then as like, say, look, I'm going to be really vulnerable, I'm actually quite nervous about this, or I feel this way. I've never met somebody who I've said that to that hasn't reacted positively. And like I said to you, even talking about this topic, I feel nervous. And like, okay, let's talk about it. Like, no one's going to say anything other than being really supportive. So like, it's such a powerful tool. But as a leader, it's also really important because your team, you're human, and your team see the difference that it makes in having psychological safety and the difference that means with like creating the ability to have greater balance in their life or motivation and just be overall better and more engaged as a result.